Hello Gemini, this is your extended reading. So the second part of the reading is talking about you, like your assumptions that by making a decision, right? As we saw ending the first part, it's like you're stuck at this crossroads, not wanting to make any decisions because it's like you have been taught to act or to move or to think in a certain way, and if you don't do that way, or if you don't think it that way through that point of view, it's like you're going to disappoint a lot of people, right? And I feel like this is what it's, starting this feeling of disappointment because of the Five of Cups that we start the extended. So it's connected to the Five of Pentacles that we saw and the first part, right? So it's again, the emotional core that you hold to the ones that have taught the set of rules that now you follow. So I don't want to say unconsciously, but consciously deciding to follow these rules, these traditions, because they were taught by these people, you know what I mean? And so I feel like even if you're not deciding, even if you're just staying where you are, because this is what I'm seeing with these two cards, right? By not making a decision, by staying stuck, and just sensing your mind get rusty, your thoughts get, jumbled up, your crown, it's like it's getting heavy, right? It's like these thoughts are weighing down on you because you are stuck in a sense, right? And you're just stuck because you feel like you're going to disappoint. But this is all in you, and this feeling of disappointment, it's just coming because you're not making a decision, because you are still here, right? Looking to these only two options ahead of you, not becoming aware that in reality, if you just turn around, you could see many other options, right? And so this is why I'm saying to you, perhaps you're just making it heavier on you, right? Especially because of this card. So we have the Nine of Swords. And, usually I don't read tarot with the traditional meaning, but because of these two cards, opening up this extended, I feel like, yes, there is this sense of heaviness in you, emotionally, mentally. But what I saw first with this Nine of Swords, it's like after you realize that you are stuck, because maybe this is what, turns this key inside of you, right? Because whatever is depleting you emotionally is this stuckness, right? That you are just keeping yourself there, right? Because it's like this default mode, right? It's like this this traditional way of doing things, of thinking, right? But I feel like when you do realize that by staying where you are, or by it's not exactly staying, although yes, we have the Pentacles element here, but it's like by thinking, by sensing, by feeding. It's interesting because we were talking about staying hungry, right? It's like now I'm seeing, it's like you're feeding it's not the wrong emotions, it's just you're feeding what's in front of you, right? Which is disappointment and heaviness, right? And so the guidance from the Page of Swords from the first part was saying, stay hungry for knowledge, stay hungry to learn more, to grow, to expand your mind, right? And not thinking in circles, in a sense. And so it's beautiful because what I saw was, you know, this path opening up for you and making way through this circle of thoughts in you that are just depleting and disappointing and, you know, deceptive for yourself. And it's just your own judgment, right? That, you know, these ones would be disappointed on you, right? But in reality, it's just this emotional perception, because in a sense, you think that if you cut cords with them, right? You know, we have the Six of Cups and the Five of Cups, right? So it's like feeling like you're being downgraded, like you're being excluded, like you're being, like you're not belonging, right? And so I just have to run because it's getting dark here. It's like, it's about to rain so much. You've heard the thunders anyway. So it's interesting because we're talking about the sun, and, you know, I'm losing the light right now. Yeah. So, you know, stay hungry for this light. Don't let the darkness, you know, this heaviness turn into darkness, right? Because you have other options. You just have to turn around and stay hungry, right? And I feel like you will, right? Because with this opening up of these thoughts, right? It's like you flip this switch in your head, right? And it's like it frees your mind in a sense, and it's beautiful because I feel like it is giving you this hunger. So we have, after the Nine of Swords, we have the King of Wands and the Page of Wands. So look how this is interesting. I love when the cards do this. So in the first part, we had the King and the Page, both of them swords, right? Your element, air. But the King was on top of the Page. So in a sense, there was this hierarchy, this this sense of establishment, right? Like you cannot give up this elevated position. You cannot give up on, you know, appearing as a king, right? You have to maintain this front, in a sense, this appearance, right, to this community, right? Because you don't want to give in to the this hunger from this one, and, you know, this hunger for knowledge, as I was saying, to step into this student position with the Page, right? So there was this sense of order and hierarchy that you didn't want to break, right? Because you didn't want to break also this emotional cord. So it was all one and the same. But here, after you have this realization that, you know, you are the only one who can flip this switch in your mind, right? To let this disappointment go inside of you, because it's all in you, right? By not doing anything differently than you have always done, right? And so by embodying these, you know, it's almost like embodying a new costume, but these are the same characters in a sense, right? It's still the King and the Page, but now they're side by side, and, you know, now it's pouring outside. So it's like this hunger, right? Finally you give, oh, this is interesting. It's like finally you give in, right? Finally you feel like there is no sense in holding this disappointment inside of you. It's like you're bottling up, right? And so it's freeing you from the heaviness, right? And because these two cards are coming with this fire element, is this sense of hunger, right? Building up again in you. Because now you see that you are not giving up the position, in a sense, or it's like by embodying both the King and the Page, right? The master and the student, right? It's like you are both, but if you get stuck in one or the other, it's like you are not growing, right? I don't know if you can hear the sound of the rain, but I just love rainy days. Anyways, so just here, you were stuck in this position, right? So this crown was getting rusty. And by embodying this new energy, you're not giving up on this elevated position, right? You're not giving up the wisdom. You're not giving up this hunger for more, for knowledge. You are just opening up to what's new, what possibility lies ahead, what is just so enticing, so interesting, so curious, that moves you from within, right? It's this fire within you that is showing you that you can just continue learning and learning and learning and adding to you, right? It's beautiful because now it's so bright. It was so dark and now it's so bright. Now it's bright, right? Now it's bright again because you hold this energy, because you have this fire in you, right? Just a second. Sorry, I'm back. I had to deal with a little bit of flooding. Anyways, so following this King of Wands and the Page of Wands, right, where you learn to embody this new costume, in a sense, this new energy, right, that it's just making you see that you're not abandoning who you were before. You're just incorporating this new energy that moves you, that keeps you hungry, right, for knowledge, for something else, for a new perspective, for something that helps you grow, right? And it's this beautiful dance between being the master and being the student, right? And I feel like this is what releases you from this place, right? From perhaps, you know, it's a physical place. Perhaps, yes, you are, it's not that you were locked up where you were. It's just that you were stuck in the mindset and the perspective that you were told your whole life, right? And so you were stuck here, but, you know, these cards that are following the King and the Page of Wands, you know, being the Four of Pentacles and the Four of Cups, right? I don't know if you'll see this, but here we also have the Pentacles and the Cups. We have 2 5s and 2 4s. And what I'm seeing, it's like here you were stuck. You were the Pentacle or the Cup in the center, right? And here it's like you're no longer there, right? And so here it's like by embodying this new, it's not new personality, but it's this new costume. It's just like you learn how to be you from a new point of view, right? Much more energized. And when you do so, it's like anything hold any grip anymore on you, right? It's not emotional, it's not physical. It's like you are here. It's like, okay, so it's like this. These were your boundaries, right? And so this was keeping you in this loop, in a sense, thinking that you only had those two options, those ways of seeing the world, right? And now that you're no longer inside this perspective, you can see clearly how bounding they were. Is that the proper way to say it? It's like how they were limiting you, right? Emotionally and physically, right? So it's like now that you have expended the limits that you were in, you know, not long ago, right? You see how you were stuck, how this crown was rusty, right? How this one point of view, how this perspective, or how these rules and traditions were making you, were slowing down your learning, your progress, right? I was going to say we're stopping your growth, but it's not that it was stopping. It's just that it was holding you back, in a sense, right? And once you learn that you are not losing yourself in fact, it's like you're gaining this new energy, because I feel like perhaps you only felt like this because it was attached to those ones, to these ones from the past, right? With which you had an emotional cord. So it's almost like they made you feel like the king in a sense. So you thought that you were the king only because of them. But in reality, when you explore this new side of you, and it's like you experiment with this new facet of you, with this new costume of yours, right? You see that you were always a king, but if you stay too comfortable in this position, right, and you don't switch into going back to being a student, right, being hungry again for knowledge, for more, it's like this position, it's not strong enough, right? Because here it's like you could stay here even with a rusty crown, but you were dependent on these people, not approval, but support, right? And love, maybe. But when you embody this, it's like you feed yourself, right? You're feeding your own hunger in a sense, because you are turning around and seeing multiple perspectives, right? And when you do that, when you see from other perspectives, right, it's like it's very clear to you how confining in a sense, right, how limiting these sets of boundaries, these sets of rules, these traditions, perhaps these people, right? Or it's not, I'm not getting that they're evil or they were doing it on purpose. It's nothing like that. It's just that it's like you are dependent on their emotional response in a sense, right? By looking at from another perspective, right, from the outside in, because you're no longer in, right? It's like you're seeing the emotions that you were feeding yourself to keep yourself in this position as something that you no longer depend upon, right? And it's beautiful because, you know, it's this. So we end with the Seven of Swords, and this Seven of Swords is talking, it's, you know, it's a conversation with the Nine of Swords. So before, you were sensing like you were in this very enclosed, very limiting, very confining environment or tradition or group, right? Perhaps because, yes, you know, they were very important. There was this very strong bond, the core that I was talking about in the first part, right? But in a sense, it was like more of the same, more of the same, more of the same. It was like recurring thoughts, recurring points of view, perhaps the same conversations, you know, the same arguments, you know, and you in the center, like what I'm seeing, it's like you didn't see a way out, right? You didn't see a way out. You were at this crossroads in a sense, because you were only seeing the options that these ones around you, you know, people that you depended upon, right? Emotionally, I want to say emotionally. It's like because they were there every day, perhaps, right? Or, you know, these recurring thoughts from them, right? They were imprisoning you in a sense, right? And then once it's like you are the one who has to switch it, right, in order to make way through this, right, through these thoughts, through these beliefs, through these traditions, right? Because this is the only way of coming out of this cycle in a sense, right, of these same points of view. But it's interesting because you know, the bottom of the deck is also complementing this, and it's actually giving some perspective outside of this, right? Because ending with the Seven of Swords, it's talking about where you were. And you know, this Empress, it's almost like a higher frequency of what you were doing on your own, right? So being the bottom of the deck, also, this is something important that I don't think I ever talked about it. But to me, it's like this atmosphere, right, that is surrounding you, but it's like it requires some sort of intention, some sort of conscious shift, right, in order to see what's around you, right? And being the Empress, especially with this very open shape, right, it's like now that you have made way through your recurring thoughts, through these beliefs, through this traditional way of thinking and seeing, right? It's like now you can perceive not only what's surrounding you that, you know, holds a lot of abundance, holds a lot of prosperity, holds a lot of openness, right? It's like finally it connects, right, with the first card that we saw opening up your first part, being the Sun, right? So it's interesting because I feel like somehow this is talking about this whole reading, the first part and this extended is talking about you turning around to see from another perspective, right? Or you coming out of a situation to look inside from an outside point of view and finding this new abundance that, you know, it's within you, right? It's this feeding this hunger, right? It's here too, right? So it's never ending, right? There is this flow of abundance that you are feeding yourself if you turn around and see and look around and see from other points of view. So after all of that, let's see what the astrological runes have as a final guidance for you, Gemini. Oh yeah, definitely. Okay. So we have Mars. This is strong will. This is your desire to move. This is all on you. This is your power. This is your light. This is your strength. This is your power. This is what is actually calling you forward, right? So it's like this hunger. Feed your hunger. Feed this hunger for knowledge, for more, for growth, for expansion. Don't settle for less, Gemini. Like, you have so much energy, right? Especially with these two cards, you know, this fire element that we already saw with the King of Wands and the Page of Wands. Like, embody this fully. Don't be afraid of acting, of making a decision, of going in a direction that you were like you didn't even think or you didn't even consider before, right? Because of these old set of rules that you have grown up to, right? Just know that this hunger is in you, and you are the only one who can feed it. So feed it, right? Feed it with your interest, with your will, with your desire. Feed your desire. It's there for a reason. It wants to show you that you are the master of this. Sorry, Gemini, my phone just cut there in the middle of the video. So I was just saying, you know, just with this rune as Mars, right? Just feed this hunger. Just don't be afraid of your own power. And that's how I'll end this reading. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so sorry for all the cuts. Thank you so much for being here with me again. If you're returning, yeah, take care, Gemini. I'll see you next time. Bye.